What's going on? It's the real Jonathan Smith show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. I hope you're having just the best day possible. I know I am. NBA Finals Game 1 tonight. We have like sports back that aren't the WNBA, which is going to be a nice breath of fresh air after all the WNBA news that has poured out throughout the week. The Indiana Fever continue their season tomorrow night when they play the Washington Mystic, a team that hasn't won a game all year. So hopefully, the Fever can pick up a win tomorrow night. But the NBA is back. And speaking of the NBA, speaking of just basketball in general, we woke up to some breaking news this morning. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm, shocked. I was shocked. Wake up this morning to some shocking news that could shake up both the NBA and college basketball. The Lakers reportedly want to hire Dan Hurley. Here is ESPN reporter Adrian Wojnarowski, also known as Woj, on the Lakers' interest in Hurley and where they are at in the process of potentially hiring the back-to-back national champion coach at UConn.
In the NBA, potentially college basketball, the Los Angeles Lakers are preparing a massive long-term offer for Connecticut Huskies coach Dan Hurley to become the next Lakers coach. He is the target of their search. He's been the target of the Lakers search since the beginning. The sides have had preliminary contact, I'm told, and those conversations are expected to escalate in the coming days. Dan Hurley has shown a willingness to listen to the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, their vice president and GM, and Jeannie Buss, their owner, to hear them out on what a Hurley-Lakers partnership would look like. And this, for Dan Hurley, the NBA has been an ambition of his. He has talked about it. And the chance to hear out the Lakers, which is certainly the mountaintop of coaching at any level, is something he's going to do now in the coming days. The Lakers have been relentless, I'm told, in their pursuit of Hurley. And now they're going to get a chance, to extensively lay out to him the vision they see for bringing Dan Hurley's program to the NBA. And that's what the Lakers are after here, I'm told, is putting in place a legacy coach with a long-term deal. I'm told a massive commitment financially, and allow Dan Hurley to come to LA and put in place a system, put in place a real long-term vision with Pelinka to run that organization. Certainly major ramifications for the UConn program, back-to-back national championships. Dan Hurley has become the most sought-after coach at any level of basketball. He was not willing to listen to any college jobs, after winning that second championship, but he is willing to listen to the Lakers. They have communicated, and those talks now are going to pick up over the next few days.
That was Adrian Wojnarowski, however you pronounce his name. He is ESPN's lead reporter on all things NBA. So that is a great source to hear this type of reporting come from. And when I saw the news, I don't know about you, but I was absolutely stunned. Okay, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? This wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Every college basketball program would rejoice if Danny Hurley left UConn. Okay, like there would just be parties would be thrown. People would just go wild in college basketball if they knew that Danny Hurley left UConn, especially this late in the game. Like, who would UConn hire? I don't know. I mean, they'd be scraping the bottom of the barrel. They'd probably just promote some sort of assistant coach at this point. But look, this hasn't happened yet, so we don't have to talk about the UConn side of this. I want to talk about the NBA side of this and why this hire is intriguing. The NBA has changed. It's like, Jonathan, what do you mean? New rules and things have been put into place. Okay, like there are new cap rules, right? Like the salary cap has changed over these past couple of years. It's closer to the NFL model, right? The NBA used to have a soft cap. Okay, so you could spend as much money as you wanted as long as you were willing to pay the luxury tax. The NFL, not how it works. Hard cap, you can spend this much money, that's it. Now, the NBA has gone to a model not entirely like the NFL hard cap, but the cap is way harder than what it used to be in terms of how soft it used to be. It's really changed a lot. Teams can no longer just trade 3 first-round picks to grab another star. And that has been the Lakers' formula for forever. It's like, let's save up all these first-round picks. When a star becomes unhappy, we'll send those picks to whoever so that we can acquire the star and potentially go win a title. That's what they did with Anthony Davis. They traded away all these first-round picks for Anthony Davis. But because of these new cap rules that have been instituted, stars are just too expensive. Like when we look at the Suns, this is another team who's tried to do the whole let's trade away all these picks, accumulate a bunch of stars, and then go win. That's what they've done. And their issue is they can't afford to go out and get these important role players. And because of some of the rules, like you can't make trades, you can't sign guys in free agency. Like there are real restrictions when you go over this cap. So because of that, you now have to develop players that you draft. There's going to be a greater emphasis on player development in the NBA because of these new cap rules. And look, like it's making the NBA more like the NFL. Since 2011, when Phil Jackson left the Lakers, historically great head coach, 11 championships, all those things. Since 2011, the Lakers have hired and fired 6 coaches. The Lakers are about to hire their 7th head coach in the last 13 years. It has been a revolving door of head coaches in LA for over a decade. And with the NBA changing, the Lakers have an opportunity to position themselves well for the future by making the right hire. Okay, with this new emphasis on developing drafted players because of these new cap rules, Danny Hurley makes a lot of sense. Like, who better to develop new young players than Danny Hurley? Who better to develop new young players than the best coach in college basketball? A guy who has made a living off of developing young basketball players. Who better to develop Bronny James? Okay, look, LeBron definitely has a role in this. He can say, he's going to come out. He's like, oh, no, I didn't, I didn't say anything. I don't care who we hire. I'm in for whatever. That's what he's going to say. But that's not the truth. We all know that that's not the truth. And the development of Bronny James is undoubtedly at the forefront of LeBron's mind. And once again, who better to develop a player like Bronny James than Danny Hurley, a guy who's done it at UConn for the past 2 years now. Right? From the perspective of developing young players, Danny Hurley makes a lot of sense. Personality-wise, though, I have some questions. These NBA players are relaxed. Okay, they just are. And you throw in the fact that they're in LA, one of the most relaxed cities in the world. Like, people down there pretty chill. It's an entirely different culture from the Northeast. Like, Danny Hurley is Northeastern to his core. He is intense in every way possible when it comes to basketball. And that's part of why he's a great college basketball coach. Right? It's part of why he designs and runs great offense. But he's rigid. Okay, if he ends up in LA coaching the Lakers, he's going to rub people the wrong way. And in college sports, you can get over it, right? Because, 18 to 22-year-olds are dumb. They don't really understand everything. By the time that they realize that they don't like you, they're gone. They're graduating, right? For Danny, like in the NBA, though, like that's not how things work. These are grown men. Like, you can't come in and be rigid and ruin things. Like, you can't have the locker room against you in any sport in the professional sports world. Now, to be fair, if Danny Hurley is hired, he will be co-signed by LeBron. If Danny Hurley is hired, that means that LeBron James wants him as the head coach, which will give Danny Hurley some leeway. But what happens, though, in game 27, when LeBron gets lazy on defense, allows a backdoor cut for an easy layup. What happens then? Because after watching Hurley these last couple years, I don't think Hurley's going to be able to restrain himself from yelling at LeBron James. I don't think he's going to, and that's not going to sit well with LeBron. Therefore, it's not going to sit well with everybody else. Okay, this intense, kind of rigid coaching style that Danny Hurley has, I think it would work in Boston. I think it would work in Detroit or New York City because toughness is part of the culture, not only in the history of those teams, but in those specific parts of the country. That's not the culture in Los Angeles. That's not the culture of LeBron James-led teams. So on paper, Danny Hurley makes a ton of sense for the Lakers. Okay, on paper, Danny Hurley makes a ton of sense for a lot of these NBA teams. But for the Lakers specifically, and the older players that they have on that roster, Danny Hurley doesn't have the correct personality to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, if the Pistons wanted to hire him, it makes a lot of sense because they have a lot of dudes that are, 20 to 24 years old, a lot of younger players where Hurley can come in and he can be a little more rigid because those guys haven't earned their stripes in the NBA yet. That is not the case for the Lakers. Like LeBron has been in the league for 21 years. Anthony Davis has been in the league for over a decade now. D'Angelo Russell's been in the league a long time. Like you just work your way down that roster and it's NBA vet followed by NBA vet. And when it comes to coaching those guys, I think Danny Hurley would struggle. So if I was the Lakers, I don't know if this is the guy that I would be hiring because it's important to be able to tone it down from time to time when you're dealing with NBA players. Is that right? I don't know. But that's the reality that we live in. And we're seeing that in the NBA Finals. I think it's important to have this kind of relaxed mode to be able to go into. And Joe Mazzulla has that, and Jason Kidd definitely has that. He's the only coach in the NBA this year to not draw a technical foul. Game one, Lakers. Game one, Celtics, Mavericks tonight. I got to be honest. This has been the longest week of my life. We went from nonstop, high-intensity playoff basketball to nothing for a week. And look, I know that the conference finals were short, but all the games, except for two, were good, down to the wire games. And I hope this never happens again. I saw a clip from the 2016 or 2017 finals. They played game two of those finals on June 5th. Today's June 6th, and we're only playing game one. Like, we could have moved this up. We definitely could have. And, like, momentum has kind of stopped, and I don't know, like, having a couple days off, I think is good because you can build some anticipation. But having a full week off, momentum kind of dies, right? Especially with all the drama that's happened in the WNBA. So momentum is good. It's important. There's a part of me that doesn't really feel like the finals are starting tonight because there's been such a long layoff. Like, obviously, like, they are starting tonight, but it just doesn't feel as big because of the stoppage. NBA, don't make that mistake ever again, please. I'm interested to see how the players play tonight. Practices are good. They can be intense, but as we all know, they're nothing like playoff games and they're nothing like NBA Finals games. So how are these teams going to look tonight? Right? The rest, I think, has been good for the most part because both teams have been battling some injuries throughout the playoffs. Porzingis, obviously, with the calf strain. Luka with the knee stuff. You can just kind of work your way through that. Maxi Kleba separated his shoulder earlier. So, like, these guys have been banged up. So I think that the extra rest time is good, but I would have liked to have seen the final start on Monday. For the betterment of the series long term, the break was probably a good thing. But for game one tonight and for entertainment value, this long break was the worst thing ever. It's to a point where, like, I'm playing video games and watching The Man in the High Castle, which is a great show, by the way, especially if you like World War II stuff. Great show. Anyway, either way, like, I don't want to be watching TV shows and playing video games in June. Like, I want to be watching high-level NBA playoff basketball. So NBA, do me a favor. Don't pre-schedule the NBA Finals. Play it by ear. Game one should have been on Monday. Either way, I'm pumped for tonight. Can't wait. I'm so jazzed up. I'm ready to go. my wife is probably annoyed with me because I wouldn't say it's all I talk about, but it's predominantly what I have talked about throughout, these past, throughout the past week. I got in the car yesterday. I've got a signed Dirk Nowitzki jersey that I used to hang when I hang up on the wall. It's in like a case. It's not just like a free jersey hanging from the wall. And I was like, Amelia, can I please put this up during the NBA finals? And she was like, no one's gonna see it. I'm like, well, we're gonna see it every day. It'll be great. And she was like, Jonathan, we're not gonna do that. I was just like, okay. It was worth a shot. When we come back here in 4 minutes, more talk on the NBA finals, game 1 tonight. I'm gonna run through each team and why they should and shouldn't win. Hopefully you enjoy it. I'm gonna be coming back with a game 1 prediction for tonight. That'll be here in about 4 minutes.
Holiday World and Splash and Safari, our family loves you. But look, I'm trying to teach my kids there's nothing free in life. And then we get here and there's a lot that's free. Parking, sunscreen, soft drinks. We love water coasters like Mammoth, the new family coaster Good Gravy, and 500 drones lighting up the sky. But the whole ride home, all I hear is... Free soft drinks, free parking, free sunscreen. Okay, I guess some things in life are free.
Get tickets today at holidayworld.com.
With the rising cost of utilities for homeowners in central Indiana, it's time to address the inefficiencies of your crawl space and basement. I'm Jeff Russell, operating owner at Basement Systems of Indiana, the all things basementy company. By sealing and insulating your crawl space or basement, we can help you save thousands of dollars in utility cost. We understand that no one likes living in an uncomfortable home and paying high energy bills. Visit waterproofingindy.com and schedule a free estimate with one of our experts today.
McDonald's presents Burger Reviews by Hamburglar. Today's review, the best ever Big Mac burger. Take it away, Hamburglar.
Rubble, rubble.
He said, there's more special sauce in every bite.
Rubble, rubble.
He said, rubble, rubble.
Rubble, rubble.
Rubble, rubble indeed, my friend.
Now buy one Big Mac or double cheeseburger and get another for $1. Price of participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Valid for product of equal or lesser value. Available in most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
The 156th running of the Belmont Stakes is this Saturday, June 8th, and the Horseshoe Indianapolis is ready for all the action. The first post is at 10:45 Saturday, with special events all day long, including a special donation from the Dan Dockich Cycles for City program to the Shelby County CASA program. Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan and the Preakness Stakes winner Seize the Gray are the favorites in the Belmont Stakes, and you can enjoy a full day of racing at Horseshoe Indianapolis this Saturday. I-74, exit 109 in Shelbyville.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
With Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal, you can get your choice of a sausage or bacon, egg, and cheese English muffin with small seasoned potatoes.
And with all that for just $3, it really is a proper breakfast, wouldn't you say? Huh? With a light and fluffy toasted English muffin and crispy seasoned potatoes. Go on, Catherine, give it a go.
Okay. Jolly good morning.
Ah, close, love. Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal for a limited time.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price. Prices are higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Introducing Tanzite Stone Tile Flooring, a game changer in the tile industry. Say goodbye to the trade-off between durability and easy installation with Tanzite's revolutionary indoor-outdoor stone tile. Visit Tanzite.com to see how our tile is installed without concrete or mortar. Instead, our innovative rubber gasket system connects the tiles together. Each tile coming pre-assembled, you simply grab one and place it. No expertise needed. At Tanzite.com, you can see how our foam-back tiles contour to cover any existing floor while insulating against sound and cold. Beautiful and versatile. Tanzite tile adapts to indoor or outdoor use, from kitchens to patios, on concrete basements or wooden decks, all with the durability of stone that's guaranteed for life. Witness this innovative product yourself and order a sample today at Tanzite.com. That's Tanzite.com.
It's the Dan Dockage Show.
I said, yo, man, they never asked any of us about Isaiah Thomas being on the Dream Team. They never mentioned that. And then I think, I forget the reporter's name. He had it on tape where he had interviewed Michael. And Michael had lied for all these years saying he never said he didn't want Isaiah on the team. And then the guy had it on tape and he played the tape. And Michael says, yeah, I'll play on the Dream Team as long as Isaiah's not on the Dream Team. And hey, I almost fell on the floor laughing because that was the first time after all these years I'd actually heard him actually say it.
Dan Dockage, weekdays from noon to 3. This is Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 99.5 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app. The best takes, stories, and entertainment. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Tickets. Danny Hurley potentially to the Lakers. Just talked about that. Moving into NBA Finals. Game 1 tonight. And I can't wait. Basketball, man. It's basketball. I'm so excited. I'm juiced up. I'm ready to go for tonight. And I understand that most people that listen to the show are Pacers fans, but I do think that there are a lot of people out there who are going to watch the NBA Finals tonight because it is the NBA Finals, right? And so if you're a newer listener, one thing you have to know, and I say if you're a newer listener because like we've seen some growth on the YouTube, things are going well. So thank you to everyone who's tuning in. And one thing you have to know about me is I'm not going to talk about something unless I've watched it and I've researched it extensively. That's just how I am. Like when you tune into the Real Jonathan Smith Show, I want you to know that you're listening to someone who is doing all the work required. Okay. Like I want you to know that you're tuning in to listen to someone who's paying more attention than you are. So like to me, like that's just part of the job. Okay. Like if you knew more than me, why would you listen? Seriously. So because of that, like I spent a lot of time watching everybody. I have watched every minute of the playoffs this year because when you tune into sports radio here in Indianapolis to listen to people discuss the finals or Danny Hurley to the Lakers and things of that nature, like I want you to turn the dial away from those guys because you're disgusted by their lack of knowledge compared to mine. Like, look, like it's June, which means it's Pride Month. And I love this month because the finals are always on and people get to see firsthand how much pride I take in my job. Right? Like that's important to me. Like that's what Pride Month's all about, right? Like it's all about taking pride in your work. I don't know. I'm new here. With that being said, instead of telling you who I'm going to pick in game 1 right off the rip, I'm going to lay out the case for each team as to why they will win game 1. You can then pick after I lay out both cases. So let's start with the 11th team in the last 50 years to make the NBA Finals with a combined 20 losses or less between the regular season and the playoffs. The Boston Celtics are 76-20 on the year entering the NBA Finals. If they're able to cap it off and win a title, there will be and should be conversations about the Celtics being, this year's Celtics, being one of the best teams of all time. Okay, every stat points to the Celtics winning this series. They are the better team. They are better than Dallas top to bottom. That alone is a good enough reason to pick them to win game 1. But there are obviously more reasons than that to pick the Celtics tonight. First, Kristaps Porzingis is back. He's going to play. And usually players that haven't played in over a month, like Porzingis, it's been 5 weeks, I usually wouldn't use them as a reason to pick a team to win a game. But no one's played in a week. Because of that, I don't think Porzingis is going to be that far behind everybody else. I think it'll take him about a quarter, and then he'll kind of look more like the player he was before the injury. Speed-wise, he'll catch up and he'll adjust to the flow. Because I think it's going to take everybody about a quarter to adjust to the flow of the game. And so after the first quarter, like he's had plenty of time to rehab from that calf injury. He should be fine for this entire series. Another reason to take Boston tonight is because almost all of them have played in the NBA Finals before. Experience matters. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Sam Hauser, Derek White, Luke Cornett, and Peyton Pritchard were all a part of the Celtics team that lost in the finals in 2022. 7 of their top 9 players in terms of average minutes per game in the playoffs played in the finals in a Celtics uniform 2 years ago. One of the two players that was not a part of that 2022 Boston Celtics team that lost in the finals is Drew Holiday, who won a title as the second best player on the Bucks 3 years ago in 2021. Porzingis is the only player for the Celtics that's going to get consistent minutes in this series that hasn't played in the NBA Finals before. Experience matters, especially early in a series. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks got off to a slow start tonight due to nerves and not playing in a while. The Celtics, the nerves shouldn't exist. They've all been there before, minus Porzingis. The experience, I think, is going to show early in the game, and then late in the game, if it's close, you may see Dallas tighten up a little bit while Boston stays loose. The third reason to take the Celtics tonight is because they're at home. Now, I don't think home court advantage is as big of a deal as it used to be, especially against this Dallas Mavericks team that really relishes the opportunity to beat teams on the road. Because, look, like the Mavs have been awesome on the road in this playoff run. They've won more road games this year in the playoffs than they have won home games. But game ones are different for Dallas. The Mavs have won one game one in a playoff series under Jason Kidd. Okay, they don't tend to start the series well under Jason Kidd for whatever reason. That combined with this game being in front of a hostile Boston crowd should be interesting. And that is plenty of reason to take the Celtics tonight. Now let's transition to Dallas. Like if you want to pick Dallas tonight, here's why you should. For Dallas, I'll be honest, the reasoning a little slippier. Okay, like they aren't as good as the Celtics from a roster standpoint. Like if you listed out the 10 best players in the series, you could argue that the Celtics have 7. If you listed the first, the top 5 players in the series, Boston has 3 of them. Like the roster is better. So sure, Boston better. But as I've said plenty of times, Dallas has the best player in the series. And Jason Kidd is a better coach than Joe Mazzulla. Right? And you're going to hear people say, well, the Celtics, they have so many defenders that they can throw at Luka Doncic. No. That's like, sure, they can throw as many guys as they want at him. Like, they're not going to stop him. He's going to score 30 points. It's going to happen. That's just who Luka is. And when it comes to Kyrie Irving, he's fun to watch. He's highly skilled. He's one of the best closers in basketball right now. Okay, we saw him close out the 73-win Golden State Warriors in 2016. So I have no doubt that Kyrie Irving is going to be fine against the Celtics. One of these two players going nuts tonight is a great reason to pick the Mavericks to win. Okay, every coach has a plan going into game one, and only one of them is correct enough to win. And I say correct enough because rarely do coaches put together a perfect game plan in the first game of a series. It's hard to do because, look, like you just don't know until you actually play against the opponent. So how the Celtics decide to defend the Mavericks tonight is the thing I'm most intrigued by. That is the thing I will be watching more than anything else because the Celtics have so many options that it may take them a game or two to find the matchup that they like in terms of who defends Luka Doncic and even Kyrie Irving as well. So if they come out and the Celtics do not have the right matchup for Luka and Kyrie picked out, and if they don't have the right pick and roll coverage figured out, then the Mavericks could steal game one. Part of why the Mavericks won games 1 and 2 against Minnesota was because the Timberwolves thought that Jaden McDaniels was the best player to put on Luka. They were wrong. It was Kyle Anderson, and they didn't figure that out until game 3. And at that point, it felt like the series was over because the Mavericks won 2 games on the road to open the series. Right? The Timberwolves also didn't have the right pick and roll coverage picked out. They played a lot of drop, and Luka tore that up, and it took them too long to adjust. The Celtics could run into the same thing because, once again, they have a plethora of options to throw at Luka. Right? And if it takes them a little too long to crack the code on the proper player to put on Luka, then the Mavericks could steal game 1. And the thing about Dallas that makes them so hard to pick against and why I have them winning the series in 6 games is because they have the best closers in basketball. Luka and Kyrie have been near perfect in the final minutes of games. Okay, the Mavericks are 6-3 in clutch games in the playoffs, and they were 20-5 in the regular season. Now, a clutch game is defined as a game with a margin of 5 points or less with 5 minutes to go. Every time down the floor in the final 5 minutes of a game, I know that the Dallas Mavericks are going to get a good shot. I know it. Luka or Kyrie are either going to create a good look for themselves, they're going to throw a lob, or they're going to find someone open for three. It happens every time down the floor late in games because Luka and Kyrie are incredibly smart, okay? Like, Luka reminds me of Tom Brady, the way he plays basketball. Let me back up. Well, actually, no. I think it's a perfect comparison because Tom Brady later in his career wasn't as athletic. He couldn't scramble around. He wasn't as physically imposing as some of the other young quarterbacks in the league, but he had all the answers to the test. He had seen every coverage before. And Luka was the exact same way. He doesn't have a 40-inch vertical. He's not, super quick. He doesn't have the sharpest handle in the world. He just has the answers to the test because he's been playing professional basketball since he was 13 years old. And that is on full display in the final minutes of games. So if you think that game one tonight is going to go down to the wire, take the Dallas Mavericks because they're going to execute down the stretch. It's a fact. I know it's going to happen because I've seen them do it time in and time out during the regular season and during the playoffs. Final reason here. The Mavericks could also steal game one because of an ignorant Boston Celtics fan. Okay, 99% of athletes and just people in general don't like being the villain. Angel Reese tried to be the villain in women's college basketball. Remember when she called herself ghetto? And then they lose in the NCAA tournament, and she cries at the podium, about how hard things are and how people don't like her and all that kind of stuff. Like, everybody has this desire to be liked. And we've seen this in men's sports as well. Let's look at the NBA. 2011, LeBron James tried to be the villain in Miami. And he couldn't take it because being the villain sucks. Like, it's got to be terrible. It's like to get on social media and have people yell at you all the time and to see people in public and then be like, you suck. Like, that's got to be terrible. And because of that, LeBron was like, forget this. I'm going back to Cleveland so that people like me again. Everyone wants to be liked. But there is one player that seems to not mind being a villain. And that player is Luka. And it makes sense because he shows up, he kicks butt in the NBA, for during the season and playoffs. And then he goes back to, Europe and people don't bother him over there. And so I think it's easier for these guys to be the villains. And Luka truly relishes the opportunity to go on the road and silence the crowd. He savors the opportunity to bring a fan into the game. We saw him do this in the Minnesota series. Game 5 against the Timberwolves. There are hot mics that caught Luka calling fans mother effers, calling them lady parts. There's the clip where he's like, hey, mother effer, who's crying now? Right? Like that's who he is. And Boston is filled with ignorant loudmouths. That's what it's filled with. Every city has them, but for some reason, these Boston Celtics fans are just a little bit more obnoxious than all the other ones. And because of how fans operate, I'd be willing to bet that most Celtics fans haven't exactly sat down and watched a ton of Dallas Mavericks. Okay? And so I won't be shocked in the slightest if someone yells at Luka courtside and it elevates his game. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. The same thing could happen with Kyrie Irving. His history in Boston has been well documented leading over the course of this week because there's been nothing else to talk about when it comes to the NBA Finals. So someone could say something that ignites something a little extra in Kyrie Irving. And, if he's pacing for 30 and all of a sudden he finishes with 40, that could be the difference. Same goes for Luka. Now, with all that being said, after laying out the cases for both teams tonight in game one, I'm taking the Boston Celtics to win tonight. Okay, the biggest difference between these two teams is the depth of talent. Boston has a better team. And when you have the better team, you don't have to have a perfect game plan. Okay, the Mavericks are going to need an elite Luka or Kyrie game to win tonight. Or Jason Kidd is going to have to have already solved the Rubik's Cube for this series before game one starts tonight. And look, Rubik's Cube's not easy to solve, and neither are the Boston Celtics. Game 2 is when I think the series will truly begin. You've heard people say this. You've heard, me say this. Game 1 of a series is very much a feel-out game. It's round 1 of a fight. Okay? Like that's what it is. You're scouting in game one. That's what you're doing. And that's what I think Dallas kind of ends up doing tonight. Give me Boston. I think the depth helps them to win game one. Can't wait. Game one tonight, 8:30. I'm locked and loaded for it. When we come back here in a few minutes, I'm also locked and loaded on the Colts. Voluntary OTAs are going on right now. Michael Pittman Jr. with some interesting thoughts on the wide receiver market. I've got that audio for you when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
Head to the mower shop during the Toro Spring Sales Event for incredible savings on select Toro zero-turn mowers. Get up to $500 on select Time Cutter and Titan zero turns, or choose one of the amazing financing offers. When it comes to taking care of your acreage, there's nothing like the My Ride suspension that lets you float above the bumps and rough terrain. Visit the mower shop today for the best sales, service, and expert advice around. 126 and State Road 37, next to Don Hines Ford. Toro, count on it.
Thinking of popping the question? Diamonds Direct has an offer you can't miss. This month only, buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. No one provides education, selection, and value like Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet from your friends at Diamonds Direct won't last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house to see a coaster that's new for the entire crew, and they call it Good Gravy.
Good Gravy, the new family roller coaster at Holiday World and Splash and Safari. Twist and turn past a gigantic rolling pin, milk bottle, and more in a race to save Thanksgiving dinner. First forwards, then backwards. It's fun with a little gravy on top. Get tickets at holidayworld.com.
Free soft drinks, free parking, free stuff drinks.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, the credit card bill came and we're maxed out.
Great. Maxed out cards, rent is due, bills are piling up. We just need some extra cash to help us get by for a few weeks.
We should do what my brother did. He went to billshappen.com and got $3,000 the next day.
With our bad credit, I don't think so.
Billshappen.com is different. They are one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types get up to $5,000.
I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork.
Nope, my brother said it was easy. He did it right from his phone.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000 in minutes, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. Billshappen.com's lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Great news! I went to billshappen.com, and we will have our money as soon as tomorrow.
Wow, that is fast.
If you need extra cash, go to billshappen.com. That's billshappen.com. Billshappen.com.
Hey, Central Indiana, we're doing the hustle, the halfway hustle. Monica Peck here from Hare Chevrolet. This year's half over and we're way behind. So right now, we'll match your down payment on a nicer, newer car only during our halfway hustle. That's right. Whatever you put down, we'll double it up to $500. So if your old ride is a hassle, do the hustle and ditch it during our halfway hustle and drive home in a 2024 Chevy Silverado for just $329 per month because we're doubling down payments up to $500. Worried about your credit? Our team does the hustle every day to try and help hardworking people get approved. And we only work with the banks and lenders who hustle to say yes to you. But hurry, this hustle's done once we get back on track or at the end of the month, whichever comes first. Together, let's drive at Hare Chevrolet, a dealer for the people, next to Walmart on Highway 37 in Noblesville. One of the few dealers honoring GM employee and supplier discounts. Call 877-666-1414 or see all the deals at HareChevy.com.
Credit and down payment require bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. financed. Example, stock number RG163095. Ultra low mileage lease, 5750 due at signing. Not all customers qualify. Corvette NZ06 excluded from all offers. See dealer for details. Offer absolutely ends June 30th, 2024.
Unadulterated sports talk with unfiltered takes. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Tickets, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. As we continue to work through all the news of today. NBA Finals Game 1 is going on tonight. Can't wait. 8:30, just laid out who I think is going to win that one, reasons to pick each team. And, in other news of today, the news that I woke up to, I'm assuming most of us woke up to, Danny Hurley potentially going to go and coach the Lakers. There are serious discussions on that. And, working with Dan, it's truly a blessing just because he's a great guy, but he's also just very willing to give me phone numbers of people I just should have no business having the phone numbers of. So I texted not all of the coaches that, Dan has sent me the phone numbers of. And I asked him, I was like, how big of a deal is it if Dan Hurley Lee is like, how would that make you feel? And this is the response that I got back from some of them. Absolute excitement. That is how I think every college basketball coach, especially Thad Matta, who coaches in the Big East at Butler, I think that's how they would all feel. Because if Danny Hurley leaves, I mean, it's gonna really shake up college basketball. It's gonna feel like someone other than UConn can win. Seriously, that's the way it's gonna feel. I'm gonna get to that at the top of the hour at 11. Before I get into that, though, I have to talk about the Colts because this is Indianapolis and Colts football does matter. Is it a little frustrating at times? Yes, it is. And Michael Pittman yesterday, he answered questions. He didn't practice. He banged knees with a defensive back, and so he's been held out. Nothing crazy, just a precautionary thing. Why make somebody practice during voluntary OTAs if they don't need to, especially a guy like Michael Pittman who has proven that he's going to be an NFL player for a long time. And wide receivers making a lot of money right now. I used to believe that wide receivers weren't the most important thing in the world. I used to believe that when it came to team building, they weren't necessary. They were like Jordans in your shoe closet. You don't need them, but they're like a nice flex to have. Like when it comes to shoes, everyone needs a nice pair of like work boots, offensive and defensive linemen. You need a pair of versatile sneakers. Those are like your quarterbacks, and having like a nice pair of church shoes. Those would be your defensive backs. So when it came to building a team, receivers, nice to have, not a necessity. That's not the case anymore because wide receivers elevate your starting quarterback. Now I would say that, the Jordans of the football world are running backs, right? Like the 49ers will be fine without Christian McCaffrey, but he's a nice flex to have. I think the Colts will be fine without Jonathan Taylor, but he's a nice flex to have. So now wide receivers are being paid like they are necessities. And once again, I would agree that they are because they help elevate the quarterback position. So they're in high demand and they're being paid like they're in high demand. Michael Pittman took questions after yesterday's practice, and he was asked about the wide receiver market, and he was asked about his deal, and he said something very interesting. Take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great because we're getting to a point where you don't even got to be the guy and you're going to get a lot of money. So you could be receiver number 2 and get 20 a year. So that's where it's heading. And then the top tier, you just seen like Jay Jettis get 35. So, shoot, I don't even know. Just like he's going to keep going.
That was Michael Pittman Jr., Colts wide receiver, on the wide receiver market. And there was a question in there, how high is up? And Michael Pittman Jr. said, I don't know, but it's going to keep going. And he's right. Jay Jettis is Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. He signed a deal to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. But there's a sentence in there. There's a quote in there that is just too good to be true. Michael Pittman said, quote, you can be receiver number 2 and get 20 a year, end quote. That's 20 million. He's making $23 million a year. He knows that. And he chose that 20 million number, which is intriguing to me. Like, he could have picked any number he wanted, but he chose a number close to what he's making and said that that's what a number 2 makes. I like a self-aware player. I do. He was also asked during the interview if he regretted signing early, and he said no. And Dan and I, like, I've talked about it on my show. Dan has talked about it on his show of, like, Michael Pittman was never going to reset the market. He was never going to be a top of the market guy. I like a self-aware player. I do. Players who know who they are and understand their value won't ruin a locker room. And where you get into trouble is when players think that they're worth more than what they are. Those types of players can kill a locker room. The self-awareness of Michael Pittman was nice to hear. Was it intended? I don't know, but it feels like it was. Okay, he sounds like a relaxed player, and that speaks to the security that he has and who he is. He very easily could have said, nah, man, like, I should have waited. I could have made, more money, and now I'm being underpaid. Like, he could have done a whole thing, and he didn't, right? And I think that people that are overly loud aren't secure in who they are. That's why I don't like it when Colts players like Zaire Franklin tweet obnoxious things like, once again, the Colts have lost the offseason. That's why I don't like it when players and coaches speak in the third person. It speaks to an insecurity in who you are that is a very, very much look at me type of mindset. Like, if you want for people to look at you all the time, then go play basketball where people can actually see your face. Football is the ultimate team game, and one player that isn't content with his role can ruin an entire team. Okay, that's why the Bills traded Stephon Diggs. He was loud. He was obnoxious. He was a look at me guy. So the Bills moved on from him. The Giants, the exact same thing with Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, loud receivers, I don't want them. Okay, especially now because there are plenty of good receivers available every year in the draft, right? I think that, Marvin Harrison, he was a little bit louder, right, when he was here in Indy. The difference, though, is that Marvin Harrison was one of the, if not the best receiver in the NFL at a time when there weren't a ton of great receivers available like there are now. That would be the difference for me, because we're in this era where, like, good wide receivers grow on trees. Like, you can find them just about anywhere. And something that you don't find just about anywhere are absurd takes. That's not true. We do find them everywhere. They're all over the place. And there was one that came off, and excuse me, I misquoted. I said Marvin Harrison. That is not what I meant. Let me go back to my notes here. He was quiet. I'm dumb. Ignore that part. Anyway, moving on to dumb takes, because there are things dumber than what I just said. Kyrie Irving is not the most gifted player ever. Okay, that is something that people have said. LeBron James came out. He claimed it on his and JJ Redick's podcast, the guy who I guess isn't going to be the new head coach of the Lakers. Kyrie Irving is not the most gifted player ever. I think when we say the word gifted, you have to factor in, size. So guys like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and any 7-footer with good feet are more gifted than Kyrie Irving, right? If LeBron or whoever wanted to tell me that Kyrie's the most skilled player ever, then I'll listen to that argument. Okay, here's the thing that bothers me about the statement. Calling Kyrie Irving the most gifted player ever is more of an insult than anything else. It's an insult. Because to call Kyrie Irving the most gifted player ever, you are also calling him the most disappointing player ever. If you think that Kyrie Irving is the most gifted basketball player ever, then his career has been more disappointing than your sex life in college. Okay, if Kyrie's the most gifted player ever, then his 1 NBA championship and 3 All-NBA selections are disappointing. Like, that is a terrible career if you're the most gifted player ever. Shaq, who I think you could also argue is the most gifted player ever. He's got this podcast now, and I'll tune in from time to time depending on who his guest is. And you can tell, I don't think Shaq would ever say it directly, but it sounds like there's a little bit of regret of, I could have had more in my career. And which is a fair thing. And this is a dude who won 4 titles, right? Like if Kyrie's the most gifted player ever, then his career's been disappointing. Like, in what world is the most gifted player ever not a number one? Because his career has been made off of being a Robin. And like, that's fine. Okay, there are players in the Hall of Fame that were Robins. There are players in the Hall of Fame that were Alfreds, Batman's butler, for those who aren't familiar, right? Like, if you're the most gifted player ever, then your career has to be more than this. It has to be more than off-the-court drama. 1 NBA title and 3 all-NBA selections for the most gifted player ever. Like, this is not a compliment. It's not a compliment. It's not. I think it's more of an insult of saying that, look, if Kyrie's the most gifted player ever, then like there has to be more to his career than just this. Before I wrap up hour number 1, I want to touch on Boston, because the Celtics are an intriguing group. Okay, like, all of the numbers for Boston point to them being one of the best teams ever, but they don't feel like that, because most teams that we consider in the conversation to be the best team ever have at least one player that is historically great. Celtics don't have that. Jason Tatum is the best player on the Celtics roster, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be an all-time great. Right? He's somewhere between the 5th and 8th best player in the world right now. Most guys that hover around that area aren't top 10 guys all time. They aren't. And Jason Tatum doesn't seem like he's ever going to surpass the guys in front of him. You know, like, if you have him at 5, like, I don't think he's better than Luka or Jokic or Giannis or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's probably not better than Joel Embiid either. So it's this really interesting thing, because when you look at the Celtics numbers, like, they're irrefutable. Irrefutable. Like, here's some of the ones that really pop out. Like, this year's Celtics team had the highest offensive rating at 122 points per 100 possessions since the NBA began tracking the stat in the 1997 and 1998 season. They had the second lowest defensive rating in the league at 110.6. That puts their net rating, which is the average of how much they outscore their opponents by over the course of 100 possessions. That puts their net rating at 11.6, which tied the 2016-2017 Kevin Durant and Steph Curry Warriors for the 3rd best in NBA history. The 2 teams in front of them were led by Michael Jordan. Okay, like, they scored the most points in a single season in Celtics history. They won 10 games by 30 or more points. That ties the 71-72 Milwaukee Bucks, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for the most all time. The Celtics won a record-setting 3 games by 50 or more this year. They went 64-18 in the regular season. Like, they were the first team since the 75-76 Warriors to finish at least 14 games ahead of the runner-up in their conference. The Celtics are also the 11th team in the last 50 years to make the NBA Finals and have 20 losses or less combined between the regular and post seasons. Boston Celtics have all these things that point to them being one of the best teams ever. And if the Celtics can cap off the year by winning the title, do not be surprised when this conversation gets brought up. Seriously, because it's going to happen. Hey, don't be surprised if you hear someone ask, where does this team rank amongst the all-time teams? Because that conversation is coming if Boston can win this series. The Celtics are also the 3rd biggest favorites in the history of the NBA Finals. The other 2 teams are the 2004 Pistons. They were plus 500 to win the finals against the Lakers that year. And the 2019 Raptors, when they played against the Warriors, they were plus 390. That year's a little bit different because, Kevin Durant gets hurt, Klay Thompson gets hurt, and the Raptors end up winning. So if the Mavs win this year, they will be, the 3rd largest underdog ever to win the finals. Like, the Celtics are far and away the better team. All the numbers point to it. And if they can cap off what's been a spectacular season for them, then there's going to be a lot of conversations coming about where the Celtics sit all time amongst the best teams ever. When we come back here in about 5 minutes, Dan Hurley potentially headed to the Los Angeles Lakers. I can't wait to get into that. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. I love talking about this because I think it's so intriguing, and I think it points to where the NBA is going. At 11:40, Zach Gray, professional sports gambler, is going to join me to give you some NBA Finals bets. I know that he's got some good stuff coming our way. He's going to give us his favorite play of the entire playoffs. Can't wait. He's coming on at 11:40, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. I'll be back here in about 5 minutes to talk Danny Hurley potentially going to the Lakers.
Now at Menards, get everything you need for your garden project. Schultz Plant Food is specially formulated to provide brighter, fuller, and healthier blooming for your flowers. It's easy to use, requires no mixing, and contains micronutrients that encourage rapid blooming while providing rich color and strong root development. Visit our garden center today. And don't forget to check out our flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Drivers, drafts, Dan Dawkins, maybe even your dad. Friday, June 14, 12 to 3, give your job the shaft, beat my score, or make an early reservation for a chance to win a VIP meet and greet package. Make your reservation at back9golf.com.
This week in Indy Sports, the Fever are on the road against the Washington Mystics Friday night, and the high school baseball semi-states are going on at sites throughout Indiana. This Indy Sports update is presented by Twin Peaks, Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views, Castleton, and Greenwood.
Today, we're on a quest for the ever-elusive local business. However, our search is difficult as big-name national companies overshadow their smaller competitors. If only these local businesses knew about Cumulus Boost. Cumulus Boost can increase their online presence in ways that go beyond basic SEO. Aha, a mom-and-pop shop victory. Get found by more customers with Cumulus Boost at cumulusboost.com. That's CUMULUS boost.com.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
O'Reilly.
Eliminate carbon and varnish deposits with Lucas Fuel Treatment at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply add it to your tank at your next fill-up. A clean fuel system can increase performance and fuel economy. Right now, get 2 bottles of Lucas Fuel Treatment for just $9 and get 2 times O Rewards points. In-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all 3 Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
The rocket launched into the air
and then crashed into the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Make more. Teach. Visit teach.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
This is Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, WXNT, AM, Indianapolis, WZPL, HD2, Greenfield, a Cumulus media station. Download the free app in the Google Play and App Store.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for...
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hope you're having a great day. Hour number 2 on the best radio station in Indianapolis. Talking Danny Hurley to the Celtics. Head on over to YouTube, search for Indy Sports Ticket. Join the live stream there and answer this question for me. How excited would you be if Danny Hurley left UConn? Right? Because obviously Danny Hurley heading to the Lakers potentially has major implications on the Lakers and the NBA and all those things, but it also has major implications on college basketball. That is the breaking news that we woke up to this morning. This is news that both can and could potentially shake up college hoops. Who's UConn going to hire? We're going to have to get to all of that at some point if this ends up happening. Here is Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN talking about the news that he broke late last night.
Massive development in the NBA, potentially college basketball. The Los Angeles Lakers are preparing a massive long-term offer for Connecticut Huskies coach Dan Hurley to become the next Lakers coach. He is the target of their search. He's been the target of the Lakers search since the beginning. The sides have had preliminary contact, I'm told, and those conversations are expected to escalate in the coming days. Dan Hurley has shown a willingness to listen to the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, their vice president and GM, and Jeannie Buss, their owner, to hear them out on what a Hurley Lakers partnership would look like. And this, for Dan Hurley, the NBA has been an ambition of his. He has talked about it. And the chance to hear out the Lakers, which is certainly the mountaintop of coaching at any level, is something he's going to do now in the coming days. The Lakers have been relentless, I'm told, in their pursuit of Hurley. And now they're going to get a chance, to extensively lay out to him the vision they see for bringing Dan Hurley's program to the NBA. And that's what the Lakers are after here, I'm told, is putting in place a legacy coach with a long-term deal. I'm told a massive commitment financially, and allow Dan Hurley to come to LA and put in place a system, put in place a real long-term vision with Pelinka to run that organization. Certainly major ramifications for the UConn program, back-to-back national championships. Dan Hurley has become the most sought-after coach at any level of basketball. He was not willing to listen to any college jobs, after winning that second championship, but he is willing to listen to the Lakers. They have communicated, and those talks now are going to pick up over the next few days.
That was Woj of ESPN talking about the news that he broke late last night / early this morning on the Lakers targeting Dan Hurley, UConn head coach, to be their new head coach. And it is intriguing. All of college basketball would rejoice if this happened. Okay, the NBA has changed. And I think seeing the Lakers go this route is proof of that. And you say, Jonathan, how has the NBA changed? These new cap rules instituted a couple of years ago have made it more difficult than ever to build a roster. It has changed the way that teams have to operate. The Lakers can no longer just say, here's 5 first-round picks for Anthony Davis, and then go win a title. Okay, it is the cap, the salary cap in the NBA is more of a hard cap now than it has ever been before. You can't just go and pick up another random star because stars are too expensive. When you go over the cap now in the NBA, you don't just pay a luxury tax and say, okay, whatever. There are severe restrictions to what you can and can't do in terms of signing free agents and making trades. It makes life difficult. So because of that, you now have to develop the players that you draft. The NBA is going to become more like the NFL in that regard. There's going to be this new emphasis on developing drafted players. And so you need a coach that can do that. And the Lakers haven't had that guy since 2011 when Phil Jackson left the Lakers. The Lakers have hired and fired 6 different coaches. They were about to hire their 7th coach in the last 13 years, whether that's JJ Redick or that's Danny Hurley or someone else who has yet to be named. Okay, and with the NBA changing, the Lakers have an opportunity to position themselves well for the future. You heard Woj in that clip there say that they're offering him a long-term deal. They want him in LA for a while. They want him to bring that UConn-styled system to the Lakers organization. Like, that is what the Lakers want. And it makes sense because there's going to be this new emphasis on developing drafted players. And Danny Hurley makes a lot of sense for that. Like, who better to have develop new young players than the best coach in college basketball? Who better to help develop Bronny James? Seriously, like, LeBron undoubtedly has a role in this because he's LeBron James and he has to say in everything that goes on in LA, as he should. And the development of Bronny James as LeBron enters, the twilight of his career is undoubtedly at the forefront of LeBron's mind. Okay, and so from the perspective of developing young players, Danny Hurley makes all the sense in the world. Personality-wise, though, I don't know if that's the case. NBA players are relaxed. They're grown men. They're very capable of taking care of themselves. They can be kind of sensitive, right? That's just who NBA players are. But Danny Hurley doesn't really care about how sensitive you are. He doesn't. Like, NBA players are relaxed and kind of whatever. LA is relaxed. And Danny Hurley is intense in every way possible when it comes to basketball. And that's part of why he's great. That's part of why he's won back-to-back national titles. That's part of why he's capable of designing and building beautiful, beautiful offenses. But Danny Hurley is rigid. Okay, he can rub people the wrong way. And if he ends up in LA coaching the Lakers, he's going to rub some people the wrong way just because of his personality. And in professional sports, you can't have the players against you. That is the quickest way to getting fired. Now, to be fair, if Danny Hurley is hired, he will have some leeway because everybody knows that everybody knows that LeBron will have co-signed this. And let's be honest, if LeBron James respects you in the world of basketball, then that is plenty of reason for everyone else to also respect you. So here's what's going to happen, though, because I can already see it. Game 27 against the Charlotte Hornets. Let's go with them. LeBron James is going to loaf on the perimeter, allow a backdoor cut, easy layup, and Danny Hurley's going to come unhinged. Not because he wants to chew out LeBron James, but because he can't help himself. Because once again, he is intense and he's rigid and he's not afraid to get in people's face. And that just isn't what LA is. That's not who the Lakers are. That's not their culture. That's not the culture of LeBron James-led teams. Now, for Danny Hurley, like I think that coaching style works in Boston because that is a rough, tough town. And when we look at some of the best teams in the history of the Boston Celtics, part of their identity is being rough and tough. I think that coaching style works in Detroit, especially right now because they have a bunch of young players. But Detroit, when you look at their best teams, rough and tough, and that's who Danny Hurley is. Same thing goes for the New York Knicks because toughness is a part of the culture, and not only in those parts of the country, but also with those franchises. That is not the culture in Los Angeles. It's not. The other thing about the Lakers that would make this hire interesting is a lot of vets on that team. And vets don't like to be yelled at, and vets don't like to be told what to do. Danny Hurley is a good enough basketball coach. He can coach in the NBA. But I think he would be better suited to go coach a team like the Detroit Pistons. Why do I say that? Because the Detroit Pistons are littered with guys, age 25 and under. They are developing. They aren't established in the league. And because of that, Danny Hurley can yell at them. But Danny Hurley can't yell at LeBron James. He can't yell at Anthony Davis. He can't yell at D'Angelo Russell. Just keep working your way down the list of guys on that Lakers roster because those guys are established, and veterans don't like being coached hard most of the time. Now, there are obviously exceptions to that rule. So Danny Hurley, on paper, makes a lot of sense for the NBA. He does. But he doesn't make sense for the Lakers. So, look, I think they're going to end up hiring him. Danny Hurley's been very adamant about wanting to coach in the NBA at some point. I don't think that he thought that this opportunity would come this quickly, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what winds up happening in Los Angeles. I can't wait. I'm tuned into it because I think it would be fascinating, just the clashing of styles that the Lakers have versus the coaching style that Danny Hurley has, and the way that Woj reported what has been said, or the way that Woj reported the story, is interesting because the Lakers clearly want for him to bring that UConn Huskies kind of style to the Lakers. They want a long-term guy in Los Angeles, and they want him to bring that UConn system. And part of that system is being rough and tough and physical and working hard and doing all those things. And I don't know if that is completely applicable to an NBA team where the season's long. And like I said, these stars can be prima donnas at times, because that's ultimately the biggest thing coaching in the NBA. The stars have to like you. That's where it all starts. NBA Finals, Game 1 tonight, right? We talk about getting stars to like you. That is where Jason Kidd has truly succeeded. I don't think it's a secret. Luka Doncic did not like Rick Carlisle in Dallas. Luka Doncic does like Jason Kidd in Dallas. Therefore, Dallas is not only better, but Jason Kidd's job is secure. Can't wait. It's been a long week, okay? The fact that the NBA made us wait a full week for the NBA Finals is absurd. Never should have happened, but here we are. Finally, tonight. I can't wait. You know, I was talking to my wife last night, and I have a signed Dirk Nowitzki jersey. I've had it since I was 6 years old. It is a prized possession. Before I was married, it sat front and center, hung above my TV in the living room. Okay, I love that thing. Now, it sits in a closet because it does not match my wife's aesthetic, which is fine. And we were sitting in the car, we were somewhere yesterday. I don't fully remember. And I was like, "Hey, Amelia, can I please hang my Dirk Nowitzki jersey during the finals?" Okay, like as soon as they're over, we can take it down. Not a big deal. Like I want to hang it up for the finals. And I love my wife. She goes, well, Jonathan, like we aren't having any like company over. No one's gonna see it. And it's like, I don't care. I'm gonna see it. You know, like I think it'll be cool. You know, she just like politely smiled at me and did not answer after that. And I was like, okay, she doesn't want me to hang this up, but I might do it anyway. We'll see. I will keep you updated on this because it deserves to go up. It does. I don't know why, but it does. Anyway, finals, Game 1 tonight, Celtics, Mavs. So usually, you know, I think when people predict games, they just kind of lay out, here's who I think's going to win, and then they move on. That's not what I'm going to do here because most people that listen to this show are Pacers fans because we live in Indianapolis. And if you're a newer listener, the one thing you have to know about me is that like I'm not going to talk about something unless I've watched it and researched it pretty extensively. It's just how I am. Okay. Like I take a lot of pride in what I do. And when you tune into the Real Jonathan Smith Show, I want you to know that you're listening to someone who's paying more attention than you are. Okay. And to me, like that's part of the job. You know, like if you paid more attention to what's going on than I did, then why would you listen to me? Right. So because of that, I spent a lot of time watching everybody, everything. You know, I've watched every minute of the playoffs this year because when you tune into sports radio here in Indy to listen to people discuss, you know, the finals or another series that doesn't have to do with the Pacers, I want you to turn the dial because you're just disgusted by their lack of knowledge compared to mine. Like that is just my desire. I take a lot of pride in what I do. It's Pride Month. That's what it's about, right? I don't know. I'm new here. Anyway, with that being said, instead of me telling you who I'm going to pick in Game 1, I'm going to lay out the case for each team as to why they'll win game one. And both of these teams are different. You know, the Mavericks and the Celtics, they play very different styles, right? And once I kind of lay out the cases for both, I'll give you my official pick for tonight. I'm going to lay out that Boston Celtics case as to why they could win tonight when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
Hi, I'm Kelson Carter, the Prince of Plumbing from Carter's My Plumber. Lurking in your dark basement is your sump pump. Are you sure it'll work when you finally need it? Probably not. That's why we invented the sump pump stress test. For just $49, our technician will run a diagnostic test on your sump pump and battery backup system. While we're there, get a water heater sediment flush and water softener resin cleaning. All three are just $99.
859-9999, CartersMyPlumber.com.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-290-1583. 800-290-1583. Again, that's 800-290-1583. Coverage, deductibles, and claims may vary. For details, go to endurancewarranty.com.
As a parent, your life is your child.
With Luke, he's the whole world, you know?
He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it just rips your heart out. You feel completely helpless.
But when you come to St. Jude, that is a whole nother level of care.
You have cutting-edge scientific research here, doctors at the top of their game, and there's nothing but love in everything that they do.
I asked my wife, I was like, what is this going to cost us? And then we did a little bit of research, and then we realized that no family ever receives a bill.
St. Jude covers the cost of everything so that we could focus on our family. St. Jude gave our family the chance to be together. They saved our son's life, and we did not pay a cent. And that wouldn't have been possible without St. Jude.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
In America, the zip code you're born into can determine your future. If this baby was born a couple miles away, his chances of dropping out of school skyrocket. Born 5 miles farther, his chances of experiencing violent crime rise. But just one town over, his chances at a healthier life improve. At the Y, our programs help all kids thrive, no matter where they're from. Support your local Y at ymca.net/for-a-better-us.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show, weekdays at 11 a.m. This is Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 a.m., 99.5 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app. More winners, more often. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 a.m. and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket here in about 20 minutes. My guy, Zach Gray, professional sports gambler at ZG The Grapevine on Twitter, is going to join me. He's going to give us his best bets for the NBA Finals. He saves his best stuff for us. It's very, very kind of him. Before we get to that, though, let me lay out the cases for why each team, the Mavericks and the Celtics, could win tonight. Wrong spot, Jonathan. Wrong note. Let's start with the Celtics, the 11th team in the last 50 years to make the NBA Finals with a combined 20 losses or less between the regular season and the playoffs. Celtics come into this game 76-20 combined between the regular season and the postseasons. Okay. Every stat for the Celtics points to them being a historically good team. The depth of the team as well points to that. And that alone is a good enough reason to pick them to win game one. But there are obviously more reasons than that to pick the Celtics in game one tonight. First, like Porzingis is back and he is the superpower of this team. Like that's what he is. Like when he's on the floor, the Celtics defense is better. The offense is better due to his shooting ability. He's developed a post presence. Like he really elevates this team. Now, usually players that haven't played in a while, for Porzingis, he hasn't played in a month. I wouldn't use, a player that hasn't played in a while as a reason to pick a team, but no one's played in a week. And so because of that, I don't think that Porzingis is going to be too far behind everyone else. I think it'll take him about a quarter just to get reacquainted to everything. Like 5 weeks is still a long time, but once again, like no one's played in a week. I think after, he plays a quarter, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll settle in nicely. And another reason to take Boston tonight is because almost all of them have played in the NBA Finals before. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Sam Hauser, Derek White, Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard. 7 of their top 9-minute guys in the playoffs played in the finals in a Celtics uniform 2 years ago against the Golden State Warriors. They obviously lost that finals, but that's what happened, right? And then when you look at the other 2 guys for the Celtics that have played the majority of the minutes in the playoffs, one of them is Drew Holiday. Yes, he wasn't on the Celtics 2 years ago when they appeared in the NBA Finals, but he won a title as the second best player for the Milwaukee Bucks 3 years ago. So he also has NBA Finals experience. The only player for the Boston Celtics who has never appeared in the NBA Finals is Kristaps Porzingis. Experience matters. That is something we have seen through the playoffs the entire way, especially in the conference finals. Luka and Kyrie, 2 guys that had played in the conference finals before, beat a good Minnesota Timberwolves team that had never been there. The Boston Celtics swept a good Indiana Pacers team that outside of Pascal Siakam had never been there. Experience matters, especially early in a series. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks got off to a slow start due to nerves. The Celtics shouldn't have any nerves, and nerves tend to show up early in games and late in games. Don't be surprised if the Mavs tighten up down the stretch, especially role players. I think Luka and Kyrie will be fine because, Kyrie's won a title. Luka's won a EuroLeague title overseas. Like he's played in pretty hostile environments. There's a tweet out there where he's asked about the most hostile environment he's ever played in. And there's, and he answers the question, and then somebody in the comments below posts a video from the game, and it looks just absurd. Like overseas games look crazy. So don't be surprised if, role players for Dallas tighten up down the stretch and that ends up costing them the game and the Celtics win. I think that's an excellent reason to pick the Celtics tonight. Third reason to take Boston is because they're at home. Now, I don't think home court matters a ton it hasn't mattered throughout the playoffs. It, mattered, it just hasn't mattered. Like against Dallas, it definitely hasn't mattered. The Mavericks have won more road games in this playoff run than they've won home games in this playoff run. But game ones are different. The Mavs have only won one game one in a playoff series under Jason Kidd. Like they don't tend to start the series well under Kidd. They don't for whatever reason. That combined with this game being in front of a hostile Boston crowd, that and this being, game one of the NBA Finals for a bunch of guys who have never played in the NBA Finals. Like this Boston crowd can tilt a game. It's more than capable of doing that. And that combined with just what we know about the Mavs and their struggles in game ones, it's plenty of reason to take the Boston Celtics to win game one tonight. Let's move to the Mavericks. Now, the stuff for Boston's pretty concrete, right? I can grab the number, I can point at it and say that is why you should take Boston. Boston also just plays a really different style than what the Mavericks have seen. Like part of why Dallas is in the NBA Finals is because of the rim protection that they have. Boston doesn't attack the rim. Boston takes less than 30% of their shots at the rim. So how does Dallas combat that? That'd be another great reason to take Boston tonight. For Dallas, though, the reasoning is a little slippier. It just is. Now, they aren't as good as the Celtics from a roster standpoint, but I think that they have the better coach. The Mavericks have not lost back-to-back playoff games under Jason Kidd in this run. He is very similar to Rick Carlisle from the stance of game-to-game adjustments. He's incredible at. Like, that is the strength of Jason Kidd. Whereas, Missoula didn't make many adjustments last year, and that's why they lost to the Miami Heat in the first round, the Eastern Conference Finals. And this year he hasn't really been forced to make a ton of adjustments because, the opposition's best players gotten hurt. So, like, I've seen Luka coach his team through wins. I've seen Jason Kidd coach his team through wins in this playoff run, and I haven't seen Joe Mazzulla do that. So when it comes to Dallas, that is one reason to take them tonight. And the other reason is because they have the best player in the series. And sure, the Celtics have a ton of defenders that they can throw at Luka, but none of them can guard him. Kyrie Irving, fun to watch, highly skilled. He's going to get what he wants as well. He's one of the best closers in basketball right now. We saw him close out the 73-win Warriors in 2016, 3 games in a row. I have no doubt that Kyrie Irving is going to get whatever he wants against Boston tonight, and I have no doubt that Luka is going to get whatever he wants against Boston. Like, if somebody said, hey, Jonathan, I'm taking the Mavs because I think Luka and or Kyrie goes absolutely nuts tonight, I'd say, okay, that makes sense. Okay, and game plans going into game one are really weird because no one ever has the perfect game plan in game one, and I think in a lot of ways it's going to be more difficult for Boston to game plan. You say, Jonathan, that doesn't make sense. Like, you just said that they have the better team. You're right. They have so many options, right? And so the thing that I'm very intrigued by tonight is how are the Celtics going to defend the Mavs? Because the Celtics have so many options, it may take them too long in game one or game two to find the matchup that they like. If they come out and they don't have the right matchup for Luka, or they don't have the right matchup for Kyrie, and those guys get going early, like, that could spell trouble. The Celtics don't start with the proper pick and roll coverage, and it takes them until, the end of the third quarter to figure out what they should do, then, like, that's going to be an issue, and that could help the Mavs steal game one. Like, that's part of why the Mavericks stole games 1 and 2 against Minnesota, right? The Timberwolves came out and they thought that Jaden Daniels was going to be the best player to put on Luka. They were wrong. It was Kyle Anderson, and they didn't figure that out until game 3 when the series felt like it was over because Dallas had already stole 2 road games, right? On top of that, the Timberwolves played a lot of drop coverage, and it took them too long to adjust away from that. The Celtics could run into the same thing where they just can't quite crack the code on how to make things difficult on Luka and Kyrie. And if that happens, then the Mavericks can steal game 1. The thing about the Mavericks that makes it so hard to pick against them is the closers that they have on the floor. It's the fact that Luka and Kyrie are so incredibly different from just everybody else because, like, there's no real way to stop them. Now, you can make things difficult, but it's just, they're hard to stop. And, like, we've seen how unstoppable they are in the final minutes of games. Like, less than 5 minutes to go. Like, just chalk it up as the Mavs are probably going to get a good shot because Luka or Kyrie are going to create something for themselves, or they're going to find, Lively or Gafford open for a lob, or they're going to find someone open for 3. The offense down the stretch for the Mavs is special. They are going to get a good look every time down. The question is the game going to be close late? If you think that this game is going to go down to the wire, I would take the Mavs because I just know that Luka and Kyrie are going to figure out some sort of way to generate an open look. Whereas Boston can fall into, like, this iso ball development where they just kind of dribble on the perimeter for 18 seconds and then Jason Tatum takes a sidestep 3. The end of game offense for Dallas has tended to be better than Boston's throughout the regular season and throughout the playoffs. The Mavs could also steal game 1 tonight because an ignorant Boston fan decides to get involved. Okay, we've seen Luka pluck guys out of the crowd and make them a part of the game, very similar to what Reggie Miller did with Spike Lee. There were the clips, during game 5 of Luka calling a Minnesota fan a mother effer. And the fan was like, bro, like, I'm here with my daughter, chill out, and, like, he's just intense and he's not afraid to, like, make fans a part of the game. And look, Boston fans are loud, annoying, and obnoxious. Someone says something stupid and gets Luka going, watch out. Same thing can be said for Kyrie. You know, his history in Boston has been very well documented throughout this week. With all that being said, I'm taking Boston tonight. Dallas just doesn't play well in game ones. I think, you know, having a home game is big for Boston early. I like Boston tonight. Otter Creek asked a great question. He said, do you think playing on the road in Boston in the finals is a little bit different than playing on the road in the conference finals versus Minnesota? The Minnesota crowd I thought was great. It's the first time that they've been in the conference finals since I don't even know, right? That's, you know, seems like one of the few things I don't know when it comes to basketball history, but it'd been a long time. So that was a crazy, raucous crowd. To be fair, Boston is one of the best home crowds in the league. The difference, though, is like I saw the Cavaliers go into Boston and win game 2, and Cleveland's nowhere near as good as Dallas. And I saw the Miami Heat go into Boston and win game 2 in round 1, and Miami's definitely nowhere near as good as Dallas. So the Celtics have proven that they can drop games at home, right? I think that the biggest part of the question that Otter Creek's asking of, do you think that playing on the road in Boston in the finals is a little bit different than playing on the road in the conference finals against Minnesota? It's the in the finals part. Like, are the Mavs buttholes a little tight when they walk out onto the floor? Do their buttholes get a little tight in the final 3 minutes when, you know, it's a 4-point game? Like that's a totally fair thing. And I think ultimately the reason why I don't think playing on the road in Boston is that big of a deal is because, like, I've seen the Mavericks win so many road playoff games. Okay, like they went into LA and they beat the Clippers, which isn't the biggest deal in the world because I understand that the Clippers don't exactly have the most passionate fan base in Los Angeles. But I saw them go into Oklahoma City, which is also one of the best environments in the NBA. Like, that is a tough crowd to play in front of. And like, they went in there and they won, and they went into Minnesota 3 times and won. Like, this is just a team that battles extremely well on the road. Luka, I think, really relishes going into places and silencing crowds. And here's the other thing. Like, we have to keep in mind where Luka played before he came over here to America. Like, he played in Europe where those people go crazy and they don't sell alcohol at events because if they do, people go a little too crazy. Okay? Like seriously, I'm going to find the video on Twitter that I was talking about from earlier where, I mean, like, they're here. Let me just see if I can find it. But like, there's like people are showing up at games in Europe an hour early, and it's insane, and they're all just going absolutely nuts. And okay, here I just found it. So head over to Twitter or X or whatever. Search for __ Jonathan Smith. That is my Twitter handle. I just retweeted a video of one of the games that Luka talked about playing at. I mean, it's just, it looks absolutely nuts. So, no, I don't think that this road environment is really going to impact, the Mavs all that much. If anything, I think it's going to help them because I've seen it help them in the playoffs on this run. So, but with all that being said, I do have Boston tonight. I've got them covering -6.5 because the Mavs just don't tend to win game ones under Jason Kidd. So, Celtics tonight, I like to cover the 6.5. I think they end up winning by double digits. But once again, for the series as a whole, give me the Dallas Mavericks in 6. Zach Gray, professional sports gambler, is about to join me coming up after this short break. Can't wait to have him on. He always does just a great job. He's giving us his favorite bet for the finals. So make sure you stick around for that. I'll be right back here in about 3.5 minutes with my guy, ZG.
Hi, I'm Kelson Carter, the Prince of Plumbing from Carter's My Plumber. Lurking in your dark basement is your sump pump. Are you sure it'll work when you finally need it? Probably not. That's why we invented the sump pump stress test. For just $49, our technician will run a diagnostic test on your sump pump and battery backup system. While we're there, Get a water heater sediment flush and water softener resin cleaning. All three are just $99.
859-9999. CartersMyPlumber.com.
Drivers, drafts, stand dockets, maybe even your dad. Friday, June 14, 12 to 3. Give your job the shaft. Beat my score or make an early reservation for a chance to win a VIP meet and greet package. Make your reservation at back9golf.com.
McDonald's presents Burger Reviews by Hamburglar. Today's review, the best ever Big Mac burger. Take it away, Hamburglar. Rubble, rubble. He said, there's more special sauce in every bite. Rubble, rubble. He said, rubble, rubble. Rubble, rubble. Rubble, rubble indeed, my friend.
Now buy one Big Mac or double cheeseburger and get another for $1. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Valid for product of equal or lesser value. Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Diamonds Direct has done it again. This month only, get ready for an offer you can't resist. Buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. That's right, a stunning diamond tennis bracelet at no extra cost. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. So hurry into Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet will not last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
What's keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The 156th running of the Belmont Stakes is this Saturday, June 8th, and the Horseshoe Indianapolis is ready for all the action. The first post is at 10:45 Saturday, with special events all day long, including a special donation from the Dan Dockich Cycles for City program to the Shelby County CASA program. Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan and the Preakness Stakes winner Seize the Gray are the favorites in the Belmont Stakes, and you can enjoy a full day of racing at Horseshoe Indianapolis this Saturday. I-74, exit 109 in Shelbyville. This week in Indy Sports, the Fever are on the road against the Washington Mystics Friday night, and the high school baseball semi-states are going on at sites throughout Indiana. This Indy Sports Update is presented by Twin Peaks, Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views, Castleton, and Greenwood.
Dreaming of becoming a professional race car driver? Speeding around empty parking lots is a start, but going pro takes time. So does quitting smoking. It's not about stopping in one day. It's about starting with day one. You just need to take that first step. Get started on your journey toward a smoke-free life with the American Cancer Society. We'll give you the support and resources you need to quit smoking. The finish line is closer than you think. Learn more at cancer.org/smokeout.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments. It doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Often imitated, never duplicated. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Tickets, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket, joined now by professional sports gambler Zach Gray. You can follow him on Twitter at ZG the Grapevine, where he posts nothing but winning bets. That's all that he does. ZG, what is going on, my man?
Jay Smith, it's final time. Let's go.
Dude, it's about freaking time, man. This week has been not terrible, but I've been bored. Like, look, I'm about to sound, spoiled here, but I've played a lot of video games this week. I've watched a lot of TV, which is nice, but I don't want to do that in June. I want to watch the NBA finals,
You can only watch so much college baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Which has been great though. Like those games have been great, but give me the NBA. And part of why, as you know, I'm not only a Mavericks fan. I don't know if you know this part. I am holding a Dallas Mavericks plus 2,400 ticket to win the whole thing. So I'm ready to go for tonight.
Yeah, I think you've only told that to me. I think you may have mentioned it passing about 100 times already. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if you forgot. You're a busy guy. So you tweeted out earlier that you had a big bet for tonight. You know, I'm really bad at remembering to ask you what your bets are because we often just get going and we don't stop. So let me ask you, like right off the top, what are the wagers that you like in this series?
So for the series, I haven't quite gotten there yet. I'll share that on Twitter if I decide to post a series bet. But I have a bet tonight that I don't think there's another bet the entire playoffs rivals how I feel about this one. Everything's lining up perfectly, the model, everything. Give me, and you're going to love this, give me Mavs plus 6.5 in game one at the Garden. It's going to wake a lot of people up. Oh, wow. Mavericks, I knew they were good, but they just went into Boston and won out. Or at least covers. Give me the Mavs. I do love that. How do you think about this one?
I love it. I hope you're right. That is not my pick. I'm on the other side of it. My thought process is, like when we look at the Mavs throughout the time under Jason Kidd, they've only won one game one. And when you're playing, in any series, like top to bottom, I think we all know that like the Celtics have a better roster than Dallas does. And because of that, I don't think that their game plan has to be as sharp. Whereas for Dallas, like it does, because they just aren't as good across the board. So unless there's, not an outlier, but like unless there's some sort of like Luka explosion or Kyrie explosion, I think Boston wins and covers tonight.
6.5 is a lot for a team that's as cohesive and as connected, as on fire as the Mavericks are. Talent aside, I think you and I have both been a part of winning teams, and right now the Mavericks have that it factor that you feel it. It's not really tangible, but you feel it and you can see it. So even if the Celtics win tonight, I can't see a world where the Mavs roll over and don't make this a 2-possession game, with the final seconds ticking. I can't believe you now. Are you serious? I'm actually disappointed in you.
What if it's a backdoor cover though? Like the Celtics are up 5, Dallas fouls with
how we get them.
You said what?
You're talking about your bet winning. That happened. I thought you were talking about my winning. That was definitely hit tonight.
I was talking about mine. Like I think there's a real world where Dallas is up by 5 or Dallas is down by 5, with like 34 seconds left and they foul. Tatum hits two free throws and they win by 7.
I'll be sick to my stomach.
I was going to say you'd be sick. I got to be honest. I'm kind of surprised that you're betting on the game tonight. I thought that the week-long layoff would kind of scare you away.
Oh no. Give me all the rest. Give me everything set back to 0. Is there a more confident duo than Kyrie and Luka? They're not worried about any situation, any road crowd, anything like that. Maybe they win, but I expect them to show up and make it really close.
Yeah, I hope you're right. And I was running through scenarios earlier, joined by my guy, Zach Gray, professional sports gambler. And I was talking about how, look, if you think that the game's going to be close tonight, just take Dallas because down the stretch, they're awesome. Like, I mean, I don't want to say unprecedented because like I haven't done the research on closing duos to be able to say that, but I haven't seen anything like this before. What has your impression been for Dallas throughout the series or throughout the playoffs as a whole?
Yeah, I just really like the way that they play together. I don't think it's a talent thing. I think we know. But you know how I am. I have a encyclopedia sports brain, and this is the same conversation we've had with the Celtics in round X for years now. They're always more talented. But who plays better together when it's crunch time? Who doesn't fold up? Who has more of a killer mentality? And I think Jaylen Brown has that, but I still am not bought in on Tatum. I think we see him fold several times this series. And, even the Celtics could win the series, and you'll still see Jason Tatum fold. But I just think with the way the Mavs are playing, their cohesiveness, the fact that they somehow got two incredibly key rotation pieces at the deadline that have worked out perfectly. Like, it's just all coming together.
It really is. It's insane. That's what it is. And look, it's helpful when you have the second best player in the world on your team in Luka. And I know you said that you don't have a pick yet for the finals. Can I run you through kind of the way that I reasoned through this?
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I love steak. It's the best, right? And here's the thing, like, I live in an apartment. I'm not allowed to have a grill. So when Amelia and I want steak, we go out and we get steak, right?
I thought you were going to say you air fried that sucker.
Oh, no, that'd be, I might have to do that though. That's an option now. And
pretty good.
My thing is, whenever we're picking a steakhouse, like, we never talk about the mashed potatoes or the French fries. Because let's be honest, if you can't make mashed potatoes or French fries, then you probably shouldn't be a restaurant anyway. And that's kind of how I view role players on finals teams. Like you don't make it to the NBA finals unless you have capable role players. So the question then becomes, who has the best steak? And for us, like, it's Longhorn, that ribeye dude, whew, really good stuff. And that's kind of like what Luka is. Like, he's the best steak on the menu in these finals. And I don't know how you don't pick the best player.
Yeah, and they got a pretty good 6-ounce sirloin to pair with that too over there. With the Luka.
Kyrie, man, he's been incredible. I think in order for Dallas to win tonight and for your bet to hit and for them to win the series in general, we need Minnesota Kyrie, where he was aggressive for all 4 quarters, and not Oklahoma City Kyrie.
Real quick, I just want to commend you on that analogy. That was beautiful.
Thank
that was well thought out. I don't know how long you had that one circling up in the cranium, but it was really, really good, Jason. That's one of the best I've heard. So kudos.
Thank you. I did it, I think, right after we figured out what the finals were. And I was like, this is, just trying to be like Colin, I guess. I was also hungry when it all happened. I was. It's very true. Speaking of Kyrie, once again, joined by my guy, Zach Gray, professional sports gambler, also from Ohio, certified LeBron James fan. So I have to ask you two questions about one about the Lakers and one about LeBron. Danny Hurley to LA. What are your thoughts?
It just feels out of nowhere. It feels weird. I think Danny Hurley is one of the best coaches we have to offer in the sport of basketball right now. It just feels like, it just feels off. It feels weird. It feels like it wouldn't mesh well, but that's probably the exact reason why it would work. I don't know.
I think, like, X's and O's wise, like, I think he'd be fine. I just don't know if he has the right personality for that team, because he's just overly intense. And, like, what happens when LeBron gives up a layup on a backdoor cut against the Hornets in game 35? Like, what happens when Danny Hurley, like, rips him for it? Like, what? Like, where do we go from there? That's, like, my concern isn't the actual coaching. It's more of personality-wise, does he fit with the Lakers?
So I tried to kind of relate back to culture, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra. I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but we got a hungry and, focused, and, just all-around complete LeBron. We had some accountability that was a little more than what he was used to in Miami. So there's, you saying that kind of brings up the thoughts of maybe this is exactly what the team needs. Maybe make a couple people mad, maybe make just players mad and angry, and get that focus level up a little more, get that effort level up a little more. So the more you're saying, the more I can kind of relate it back to the Pat Riley days. So what do you think of that?
Fair enough. That's a great counterpoint. I just feel like at the end of the day, NBA veterans who have been in the league for over a decade don't like being told what to do. I don't think that's what they enjoy. To be fair though, like, I think that if the Lakers were to hire Danny Hurley, then, like, LeBron would have clearly co-signed that. And anytime you have the respect of LeBron James, you immediately have the respect of everybody else in that locker room. So to your point, like I do think that that's an interesting kind of layer of this.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's probably an agent leaking something or the team leaking something. I don't think, where there's fire. I just don't know if we see this get to the finish line. If I had to make a bet, which I do, that's what I do.
It is.
I would probably put it on DJ Redick instead of Hurley, but I think this is just a new hot story. I think there's solidity to it. I just can't see this getting to the finish line. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to kind of, because like you said, like this is out of left field. I was ready to do a thing today on JJ Redick being the new head coach, and I was like, oh well, maybe not. The thing that makes it interesting is like this is from Woj, and Woj said that like Hurley's been the guy all along, but then again, it's like he's been the guy all along, but you aren't interviewing him until now, and it's just like you said, it's very interesting and kind of weird. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, your guy LeBron dissed Kyrie Irving. How could he do that? He came out.
What are you talking about?
He called Kyrie Irving the most gifted player ever. Like the most gifted player ever only has one title. Come on now. I think it was low key a dig. Or let me back up. It was not the compliment that LeBron James thought it was going to be. How's that?
Are you reaching right now? I don't quite understand how that's offensive.
So here's what I'm saying. If Kyrie Irving is the most gifted player ever, is his career not incredibly disappointing? I don't think
you've got the extendo right now. That's how far you're reaching.
I don't know about that. Seriously though, I feel like the most gifted player ever after being in the league for, I think he's been in the league for 10 years, right? I don't know, for however long though. I just feel like the most gifted player should have more than one title, more than 3 all in NBA appearances, and I feel like he should be more than just a Robin.
Well, this is wild. This is wild even for you, Jason. I mean, I guess what you're trying to say, but of all the people, we hear this kind of sentiment for a lot of people around basketball that pound for pound, I'll use Skip Bayless's phrase, inch for inch, the best player, best ball handler, best point guard we've seen in a long time. So the sentiment's kind of echoed around the league. I think that it's easy to kind of conflate off the court stuff with on the court stuff, but there's no denying on the court he is that special. And if anybody knows, LeBron knows you can't win a title by yourself. So
without a doubt.
Yeah, I think basically you just said, Kyrie's not very good. I don't ever want to play with him again. How dare he ever walk the same floor as me? I think that was the true message.
Okay. The issue that I had with the statement was that he said gifted. Once again, joined by my guy, Zach Gray, professional sports gambler. If he had said skilled, no issue with the statement. That's fine. Whatever. But I think gifted is a little bit different than skilled.
So this segment that we're just doing right now on LeBron, it feels very Joel Colin Cowherd right now. I feel like you're playing a very good Cowherd and I'm playing a very good Klatt.
That works for me. Hey, that's a dynamic duo right there. That works for me. Speaking of which, okay, we've got 2 minutes. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10 for July 19th when College Football 25 drops?
I don't know. There's a very significant portion of my life, if my life was a pie chart, I don't know what's getting cut out, but it's something getting cut out. I'm getting replaced with college football. So, if that's friends, if that's my, soon-to-be fiance, if that's something's getting kicked to the curb, I don't care about the consequences. I don't care about the responsibility. I play all 30 years in a row when the game drops and my eyes bleed Like, I want the whole package. There's not a single thing in this world that I'm more excited for at this moment.
Dude,
Did that answer your question?
It does. I'm excited too. I purposely bought the version that comes that you get to play 3 days earlier because on that day Amelia will not be at home.
Oh man,
it's the sole reason. Like, like there are plenty of radio hosts who do segments on like their fantasy baseball teams and stuff. So I think I might do segments on my college football 25 like created team dynasty. I don't know. We'll see.
Can we do that? Can we have a segment where we kind of give some details on where we're at in the season, what we got coming up, our recruits? I think that if you want to just do that off air, if you want to just do that with me off air, that we could do that too.
Dude, hey dude, seriously, I'm down. I'm totally down. So we can definitely make that happen. We do on the air, off the air, like you said. I'm up for whatever. I'm juiced up. I'm ready to go. I have to go. My time is up. Zach Gray, once again, what is the play of the night tonight?
Mavs plus 6.5.
Mavs plus 6.5. You heard it from the guy who doesn't miss his bets. Zach, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, Jason. See ya.
That is or was Zach Gray. Follow him on Twitter at ZG the Grapevine. He gives out winning bets all the time. Great guy as well. Coming up here in about 4 minutes, it's the Dan Dockett Show, hosted by the one and only Dan Dockett. That is coming your way here in 4 minutes. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 10. Summer's finally here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Every